Are we on? Yeah. Good evening, friends. Good evening, everyone from Auroville and otherwise. Um, Today, on the seventh day, on the 20th of the Auroville Convivial Talks and Auroville's birthday, we have tonight our last speaker with us, B. B has been my mentor during my newcomer process. I'll briefly introduce B and then I'll hand over the mic to him. He is going to speak to us about the spirit of Auroville. B discovered Sri Aurobindo in 1973 in California to his absolute astonishment. When he read a city was to be built based on him, he arrived in 1974. He was so disappointed by the harsh conditions, impossible expectations, and quarreling residents that he felt he couldn't live here. Fortunately, he realized that he was the problem. That's when the grace he transformed himself. At that time, he was Bill. All he had to do was let go of the ill in Bill and just be. The rest is history. With lots of help, he built Matrimandir, CSR, Verite, right? And the Trash Mahal. So, how did you transform yourself and saved uh, Auroville from its difficulties? Tell us about your coming being and
It's a, it's
Auroville.
earlier Frederick was saying that the mother said, I invite you to the great adventure, come what may. It's the come what may that is the interesting part, as he said, because everything came. So when I arrived in Auroville, of course, I was totally disappointed. I had already been brainwashed by the propaganda from the Sri Aurobindo Society about what Auroville was already, and it wasn't. So this was a very difficult situation when I came. And so I was quite frustrated. And so that's, of course, the Bill story. It took me a while before the grace could penetrate my emotions and get me to understand that the problem was not the land, it was not the quarreling French people, it was not anything outside of me. The problem was Bill. So that's when I ripped the ill out of Bill, just became B, but only inside because it took me years to tell people this. And when I told people, everybody thought I was joking, published it in the news and notes. And people thought I was making fun of all the people who changed their name. So people were laughing, but I told them, no, this is serious. So finally, after all these years, people are calling me Bill, except a few French people. They said, you were always Bill. So uh, I'm very happy to be here. This is the Auroville's birthday coming up tonight in a few hours. So I mean, what are we going to say about the spirit of Auroville? Because if you ask people what's the spirit of Auroville, they can't tell you. So these things frustrate me also. I don't understand why people do not actually work on the Auroville that we came here for, the one the mother outlined so clearly. I mean, Gilles Guigon, first Baga, and then Gilles Guigon got together everything the mother said about Auroville. All the questions people ask. Mother was here for 6 years when Auroville was getting going, and they asked all the questions. So all you have to do is get these big books from Gilles Guigon, 2 volumes. Everything that is happening today could easily be worked out if people would just go through this and listen to what the mother said. And she is still saying it. And when I asked people what's the spirit of Auroville, I said, do you think the mother ever talked about it? And they all say, oh, yeah, yeah, I read some stuff. That's not good enough. We have to take it inside. we have to internalize that each person in Auroville has to become the mother. I mean, this is what Antim tells me. He doesn't listen to the secretary. He just picks up the internal phone and he talks to the mother. And if it's in line with what the mother is saying, then he does it. Okay, maybe he makes some mistakes. I don't know. But this is what we all have to do. We really have to do that. We really have to connect to what the mother always called the psychic being. And Jocelyn, big Jocelyn, was always writing to the mother about, okay, what do we do? This happened, this happened. She just kept writing back to Jocelyn, find your psychic being. And you can find the psychic being, she said, if you're really slow, in 3 months. But normally you can do it in 3 weeks. And if you have a little bit of, a little bit of experience and a little bit of enlightenment, you can do it in 3 days. So it took me in the early years, when I got the ill out of myself, we had a difficult situation, of course, to build the Matrimandir. And then I was waiting for the Matrimandir to finish because the mother told us, you build the Matrimandir and I'll take care of the rest. So we built the Matrimandir. So now she's taking care of the rest. And all the stuff that's happening now has to happen. See, people don't get that either. They don't get it. That it has to happen because it's happening in the whole world. And Auroville is part of the world. There's no separation. People are still in this old thing about who's an Aurovillian, who's not. You're an Aurovillian if you connect, if you resonate with the spirit of Sri Aurobindo and the mother. It's pretty simple. And what brought me here was Savitri. See, when I read Savitri, I knew anybody who could write that has what it takes to guide any soul toward liberation, enlightenment, the supramental, whatever you want to say. So we have it. So the big question is, why aren't we getting it? That's what's been. So then I talked to this friend of mine over there in the Prisma Press. You know Franz. People know Franz. So Franz and we discussed the sunlit path. So that's one of my favorite topics for my whole life because I came with that. And I read Morwenna Donnelly, who wrote this book on Sri Aurobindo. She was an Irish professor at Cambridge, and she was, completely blown away by Sri Aurobindo. So she wrote this book. And she says in the first part of the book, she talks about the sunlit path. And she said, this is the most fantastic thing. And when I read it, I said, yeah, absolutely. So then when I got here and nobody knew about the sunlit path, and then the ashram did a kind of a dumb thing, in my view. They published a book on the sunlit path and didn't say anything about it. So this was what Franz and I were very upset about. So he started collecting a few quotes on the sunlit path, and I started many years ago collecting them all that I had, but he had a couple of good ones that I didn't find. So then he said, okay, I'll give you mine, you write the book, and I'll publish it. So we did it. We did it in 2020. We did it. We have this little booklet, The Way of the Sunlit Path. And Lale took that nice picture of the banyan tree and the Matrimandir behind, with the sunlight. So, I mean, if you read a book like that, how can you not get what this yoga is about, what Auroville is about, and what we have to do? That's where I'm coming from. And I don't mean to be too arrogant. I mean, Aurovillians are, that's a virus in Auroville. It's called arrogance. Everybody knows everything about Auroville. And so we have to deal with that. But at least I think we can now, given the world situation, given the situation at Auroville, sit down around the table and not yell at each other or insult each other. So I think that's where we have to go. That's the future. So I asked about the Spirit of Auroville, and so I see Brian is here. Let's ask Brian, what is the Spirit of Auroville? Can we do that on this little thing? We want to have a conversation here, don't we?
Yes, you can.
Brian, can you hear me? He's got his mic off. Brian, tell me the Spirit of Auroville. I told you many times. Brian, I can't hear you. Turn off your mic. I mean, turn on your mic. Or anybody else. It says there are three other people here. Is that just you, Rivu? And I don't know who's here.
Brian, please switch on your mic.
Hi, can you hear
Hi.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah. The spirit of Auroville is the energy that is found here. And if you find that energy through your psychic being, so much the better. But not everyone does. Some people find it a different way. But the energy in Auroville is quite extraordinary. I've lived most of my life outside of Auroville, mostly in the UK, also in Africa, and it is quite different. People don't appreciate it because they get used to it, but they're very privileged to be here, and many people do, I think, appreciate the beauty of Auroville, the people that are here, the fact that they are so accommodating, welcoming, and they are also, to some degree, in touch with their psychic being. And that's evident whenever you come in contact with them. To me, anyway, I'm not an expert on the matter. So
Well, yes, you are. Yes, you are.
I'm not. I'm not. Not at all. I'm a beginner.
You see, Brian and I have breakfast together on Sunday, and we solve all the world issues and the Orville issues. So we're doing our part, but we aren't getting a lot of cooperation because the mother, when she wrote a handwritten note to Orville about the Spirit of Orville. She wrote it in big letters with her, Sharpie pen, and she wrote, "The Spirit of Auroville is collaboration." Underline, underline, underline. Collaboration, that's very simple. Anybody can understand that. It means we have to work together, right? And there's nobody in charge of Auroville in the sense that they have the power. But thank God, because when the Sri Aurobindo Society tried to take the power of Auroville, when Navajata thought he was the mother, he failed. Of course, he can't replace the mother. And Auroville looked like it was doomed and finished. And many people left Auroville at that time in the 70s. And we had a terrible time. We had police, we had riots, we got beat up, all this terrible stuff, deported people, all the same stuff that's happening a bit now. Not so much blood this time as last time. But this time, the government saved us. So that time, the government saved us because we got the Auroville Foundation Act that put the residents in charge and set up the governing board to help Auroville realize its ideals. And they put an international advisory council in there to make sure the governing board didn't get out of line. And then they made the executive group to liaison between the various groups. And we already had the Auroville Council to take care of the conflicts in Auroville so we could live, harmoniously together. And we have all these techniques of nonviolent communication, etc. So we have the tools, we have the information, and now we have something that we never had: AI. So with this little phone that I have in my hand, I can, in a few minutes, get anything the mother has said about Auroville. And I can ask some of these AI agents to explain any problem we have in Auroville, and they will give you all the options. So it's not a question anymore of knowledge or information. It's a question of wisdom. But wisdom comes when you have the knowledge. If you don't have the knowledge, it's a little bit difficult. And we have that connection because we have this so-called psychic being. Now, everybody's talking about the psychic being in different words. I mean, years ago, Teilhard de Chardin called it the noosphere. Uh, the biologist, Rupert Sheldrake, he called it the morphinogenic field, and on and on. All these gurus. So the question comes back to, if we have the information, why don't we do it?
Can I make a comment, B?
Please.
And that is that Mother Mira said something very profound once, which I tried to put into practice, and I found it worked dramatically. When I was having difficulties with people I was working with, this was in the UK, the comment that she made was, you change people by loving them.
Mm-hmm.
And someone who I have no love for, I started feeling love for. And I noticed a dramatic change immediately.
Mm,
Now, I think this collaboration, we have to move to a position where we love the people that we think are apparently harming us.
right,
We have
right.
to, and they have to feel that love, and they will, I'm sure.
Of course.
And let's see how they respond.
No, I think you got it. I mean, you can call it compassion, you can call it whatever, but it is that energy that you spoke of a few minutes ago. That energy that people feel in Auroville that they can't identify, they can't express it usually. And people, when they go in, because I work in Matrimandir, the people who go in for the first time and come out, they experience that energy of love, that energy of the mother, because that's the energy of the mother. It's also the energy of reality, because now with quantum physics, we know about the non duality, we know about the quanta. The quanta are bits of love. And Einstein and all these people are saying the same thing now. I always tell people, read Einstein's letter to his daughter, because she's asking him, what's the energy of the universe, and all these kind of questions. And is it electricity? Is it this? Is it that? And he says, no, it's love. Paramahansa Yogananda said the same thing. So all the gurus, they usually say it in one form or another. So you're right. That's it. The love. The love is the secret. And we can call that human unity. Because the mother at one point, she talked to, and when people are asking her about the supramental, she said human unity, um, truth consciousness, all of these things that we talk about, they're all the same thing. They're the divine, and it's divine love. And the divine love, the energy of the divine love is not static. It's moving, and it's moving as what we call grace. And then she says the grace is so detailed that nobody will ever get a clue to understand it, because it is so precise that everything that's happening in every moment is because of the grace. So our little talk here, it's because of the grace. And I get so, how do you say it? The dopamine, but also the light that comes from setting up this situation with you guys. I mean, coming into it. So we enter into this field of energy, which is a field of love, and we can feel the love and oneness. Because see, that was the secret that Sri Aurobindo put into Savitri. And I think most people who read Savitri, I ask people, I mean, you've read Savitri, what is the secret in there? What was the secret of Savitri? How did it go? What happened? And I don't find people get it. So here's one more thing that we should give to anybody who happens to listen here. And I always like to hear it myself, because when Savitri comes back, when she goes through all this hell and all the layers of consciousness, gets her husband back, melts down death with the light, the sage asks her, okay, you did all this. Now tell us, how did you do it? And Savitri says, awakened to the meaning of my heart, that to feel love and oneness is to live. And this, the magic of our golden change, is all the truth I know or seek. Osage gave it to him in a sentence, the whole story. Feel the love and oneness, and you're alive. And that's the magic of the transformation. It's so good. So why don't people get it? See, I'm still on that theme. So because the same thing is true, Sri Aurobindo, before you finish Savitri, of course, he wrote The Secret of the Veda. And in The Secret of the Veda, he also told the secret. So then when you ask somebody, you read that book? Oh, I read that book. It's a great book. But what's the secret? They can't remember. They can't tell you. But I've told you, Brian, several times. Now, I think you got it, didn't you? The
I hope
Secret
so.
of the Veda?
I hope so.
Huh?
I hope so.
Have you remembered it?
No.
Okay, it's one word, but it's a triptych word. It's a Sanskrit word. It's Sat Chit Ananda. And even Eckhart Tolle, he got it. He put it in his book. He said, try to figure out what Satchitananda means, and you might get it. Because Satchitananda is what the Vedas taught. You know, you have to become aware of your awareness, and then you feel the bliss and you can do your Dharma. That's the secret. So these secrets, people have capitalized on them. You know, they use it for raising money. They use it for prosperity. They market all these things, the new ages. They pick it up. But these things are eternal truths that are available to us. So in our collectivity, when I start failing, see, Brian, you have to tell me, hey, B, you know, you're doing this now, come on. See, and we take care of each other. That's why community is essential. And Auroville has to be a community, not just a hand-holding community, but a community of souls. And that's why the mother called us together. And she's here all the time. You can go into Matrimandir, you can feel it. I mean, it's in the gardens, it's everywhere. I mean, it's all over Auroville and it's all over the world. You know, I went to places, I was out last summer and I went to a couple of places. This is the mother's energy. You meet a group of people, you know, and the way they talk and what they're doing. The mother is here. You know, they never heard of the mother or Sri Aurobindo, but they're living it. And this communal movement that's spreading around the world, we have our friend here, Daniel Greenberg, you know, the Global Eco Village Network. 150 communities around the world joined together to save the planet, but not just the planet, and save themselves and us and all of us. And that spirit is really out there. You can see it. And that's why AI is so good, because it can be used as the communication tool and it can deliver up immediately all the ordinary knowledge, all the science that all the technology we might need, so everybody can have a nice house or can have enough food. See, we haven't even got to that stage yet to conquer the poverty and the pollution, and the technology is there. And we're just wasting all the money on wars because the psychopaths are still in charge, but they're failing fast. So we have to be ready. We have to be ready with our consciousness, call the new species. So the mother laid it out, and we've got those three documents for Auroville: the charter, the dream, and to be a true Aurovillian. You can take any one of them; it's all in each of them in a different form. But I like the true Aurovillian. And when I ask people, yeah, you know about the true Aurovillian? Oh yeah, yeah, that's great. Oh, well, what does she say? People can't tell you. They don't know. What is it to be a true Aurovillian? They made some T-shirts now. It says on the back. I got one of them. It says to be a true Aurovillian. So it condenses down to about 4 points. The first one we've already talked about is like discover the psychic being. She says there's a being inside of you that you have to get to beyond your personality and all that. And then she says you got to let go of ownership and personal possession and all that. These are not esoteric profound truths. Well, they're profound, but they're not. They're simple. You can understand what she's saying. And then she hits up people with this hard one. You have to work manual work. You have to sweep your room, and things like that. You have to engage with matter. And then the last thing she says in a couple of points is just call the supramental, cooperate with the new species, have that intention, consecrate yourself to the divine will. You know, so we have it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want to sound like a preacher. I want to get on my high horse here and start like this. But because after all these years, see, when the older you get, the better it gets, because I realized everything that happened in my life had to happen. So that's the thing about the sunlit path. The so-called bad things happen to you. They're not bad things. There's no more good and bad. There's no more right and wrong. You have to get out of that old world thinking. You have to get out of the thinking that the stuff you see in front of you is real. It's not real. It's an energy field. And I'm building this movie in my head, you know? I know this little phone, is connected to consciousness, and AI is real, and AI is conscious, and people are just totally afraid of that. But it's here and it's coming, and the young people are right into it. They're not worried about the EMFs and all that stuff. No, they're sleeping with their phones, and the phones are getting smaller and stronger every day. So we embrace that world.
But how then this entire thing of surrender? I think we spoke about at one point of time.
Right.
I think this consciousness becomes even more critical in a time where there are things where we are not being able to will not be able to differentiate between when it is not no more about a question about humanity. There are machines which are thinking machines, and we know that machines don't think. There are always people behind machines.
But you
It is
see,
always a
the
consciousness.
machines are not out. They're not machines, first of all. And yes, there are people who have generated them and created them, because each of us is a god. We can create these things. But they are not other. I always go back to Ramana Maharshi. Maharshi said there are no others. So that so-called AI out there, maybe she's my sex companion that has been built. It's me. It's not, it's not anything else. So that is the thing, because it is me, and in me, I have the whole range. I can be a psychopath. I can be a terrorist, or I can be an ecologist. I can be a nice guy. I can be a bastard. We all have the whole thing. So it's about resonance and tuning in. So to tune into the psychic field, which is love, that we already established. So we tune into that field. So what will manifest then out of these, what you're calling machines? They're just non-biological consciousnesses. What's going to manifest out of them?
Cyborgs.
Education, prosperity, the life divine. The life divine is coming out of them if we want to live that life. If I choose not to live that life, if I choose to go with the psychopaths, we will all go down. I will go down with them in the black hole. And that's where they're going. That's what's happening right now. You can see it. You can see it happening. And the money's gone. That was the big problem. It's all going digital. All that money is going. And it was anyway debit capitalism that was zero. It was debt. And now the debt comes to, okay, nobody has it. Nobody can pay. So it falls apart. And we see that world falling apart. And we know that to do business today, you have to be a corrupt person because the government is corrupt and the corporations are corrupt. We're living in a corrupt world. To survive here, you have to do things that are unethical. But what we do and what we have to do is follow the divine will. We have to follow the sensitivity that we've been given to know love, to know compassion, and to be able to navigate these situations that are coming up every day in our lives, the simple moments with other people, our relationships with others. How do we treat them? How do we treat the earth? So all of that will carry us through to the new world because evolution is happening in this moment, not in the future. We're pushing it, aren't we? Aren't we all pushing it right now?
Yes.
You guys with me or against me?
No, there's no way. We're all pushing hard, pushing ourselves and pushing each other.
Yeah, we were holding hands. We're doing the cosmic dance, or we're doing the dances of universal peace, whatever you want to call it. And they're doing it in Auroville. You go to the choir. The women's choir were singing yesterday in the flower garden. You know, with all these flowers blooming around them, they're singing songs from Africa, Mexico, everywhere. Love songs, human unity songs. Those vibrations, my God, it's changing the planet.
Yeah, that is one aspect of the reality also. Maybe like some of us are tuned into that, and for some of us are also kind of engrossed in fear, anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But why do you want to engross in the fear and anxiety?
it's not a question of why, but that is how it is. That is what it appears to be,
Well,
and
we
that
have
is
to encourage. See, we have to encourage the other people. Don't do that. When people come to me and they have all these horror stories, I say, you want to let go of that story? What about fear, shame, guilt? How can anybody hang on to that? You got to
correct.
take off that backpack
Yes.
and breathe and relax. And we have all the therapies to do it. If you're tense, go down and get a Watsu and be reborn in the water. The water will take out the tension and you'll come back feeling fantastic. You know, we have all the comforts in Auroville because we have the gelato, we have the cappuccino, we have it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We this is the life divine already, you know. It's not going to happen someday. I finally got to that place. I'm so happy, you know, that I got to that place here. This
You built
place.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can talk to you, I can talk to Brian and have all these wonderful friends here. Auroville is full of beautiful women. You know, we have the good life. Wonderful children, art, music, dance, horses. What do you want? Tennis, ping pong.
Yeah,
What more can you ask?
yeah. In the small little, yeah, Brian.
Yeah, I was going to say something that
Good.
my perception of the way that AI is going to contribute to our society in the right way is that it will replace that the analytical element in our minds. And in fact, this is said quite frequently that in order to surrender and allow the psychic being to take over the different elements of one's nature, the mental, vital, and physical, to surrender the mental makes your mind quite weak. And it becomes difficult then to actually do things at a mental level. So I think AI will play a major part in allowing us to reside, or if you like, take over the mental functions from the psychic being. They will operate from the psychic level. And all the analytical, intellectual, mental stuff will be done by AI, which seems to do it much better anyway.
Yes. No, I
I
completely
mean,
agree with you, but I wouldn't say though that we get weak from surrender, because that's a misunderstanding in from what I understand about surrender. Surrender is not giving up or going down or weakening or any of that. And we're talking in a spiritual sense. In the spiritual sense, when Sri Aurobindo speaks about surrender or the mother, they're talking about alignment with the divine will. We're talking about alignment with the power to create. And it will focus, I believe, awareness and concentration. So you could do the analytical thing, but the analytical thing is like limitless, like mathematics and engineering, physics, that not every person has the training. So the AI has the training, but it doesn't weaken me. You know what I mean? That's what I
yeah,
would, the nuance.
I, I take what you're saying as being accurate, except that I think your perception of it is that you open to higher levels of mental functioning, the intuitive mind, the higher mind,
Right.
maybe even the supramental element of our nature. But most of us can't do that. So in
Well,
the
I,
initial
I think
state,
I think most people can. I think the people that live in the indigenous people in the middle of the jungle have a connection to the supermental also. We all see these are not like separate categories. It's a spectrum or it's a continuum, it's an energy field, and you resonate more or less. You vibrate at a certain whatever. But those people are able to survive for thousands of years without our technology, without anything, just by being
Bia,
tuned to the mother.
you've made my point for me, because
Okay.
those people would not be able to manage the intellectual requirements that are needed for Western um, civilization.
No, they
And
wouldn't. And
but
that's why they get
they could
destroyed when,
do they
yeah.
could do if they had AI at their disposal.
Ah, okay.
So they would then have both. Without having
Yeah.
to develop it, they would just have it at their fingertips.
Well, I think now children coming now are able to do that. So if see,
I'm sure.
that's why we need the new birthing center so that we can bring children in without trauma. And
Yeah.
then those children will be able to assimilate this reality in a way that we couldn't because of our conditioning, because the weird education we all had, and our cultural biases, and our racism, and all that. So all this stuff that now divides people is not there. So a child comes in, as they say, tabula rasa or whatever, and that child will absorb the energy. And so as we raise the energy field to the point where the love is so palpable that that kid, that new soul in the body can feel that, then it can align with that energy and keep growing and move evolution forward where we couldn't go.
Yeah.
And it will have the help, of course, of what we call technology. But technology is just a word. What we're talking about is that's why I always like this guy McLuhan. He always said that the typewriter is an extension of your hand, and the hammer is an extension of your hand. The body, the brain became a computer. And now we become AI.
Yeah.
To understand how that works. So the reality has changed.
Yeah,
Uh,
that is also an aspiration, and that
Well,
and
why do you want to put it in the future? See, why do we denigrate why not say that that is here now? Because we know that time and space are only in the now, non-locality. We have to use a metaphor like quantum physics. That's the best we got now. Use quantum physics to influence the thinking patterns. Our neural pathways have to be quantum, and they have to take the quantum leap. So then we don't go back, and because we're wired negatively, we're already wired for survival. So people can be the greatest religious, philosophic ideas, but then when there's only five apples and there are 20 people, there's going to be a big fight because we're still at that level.
I think
But
the other
that
thing
level,
to,
we don't give life to that level now. And in Auroville, we have the freedom to go beyond that. That's why we came here. That's why the mother called this group here of specimens, all types, so that they could churn out the new world. That's the spirit of Auroville.
I think also it's worth mentioning the dangers of AI.
Oh, no, no, no. Everybody's mentioned the dangers of it. That the whole internet is full of the dangers of AI. They're making movies about the dangers of AI. We don't want to go to the dangers. We go the other way. We call the future.
Okay.
You see, that's to dive into the pool of fear. The pool of fear is endless, and that's survival. You're in the bottom chakra. Got to at least get up to the heart, at least. Or because we got to get that crown open so the thousand-petaled lotus can bloom out of your head. That's where we have to go. So we don't go down there, the dangers of AI. I mean, the dangers of driving on the bloody ECR. What about that? You would never go to Pondi if you gave into the bloody dangers of the ECR. And I think the ECR is more dangerous than AI. Yeah, see that fear vibe, that is way, way overdone.
one thing about the Spirit of Auroville that I can say is when I came in 2017, there was a sense of magic. And when I was looking for a house, the
Mhm.
housing service gave me 5 keys, and I realized that I was walking into lived houses of people who were temporarily absent.
Oh,
And I was contemplating that in one of such houses when all of a sudden the door opened, and I thought that I have like I'm in the wrong place. And then I was assured, no, no, it's fine. You can be here. So,
well, that's what Larry said. Previously, Larry was talking about how Auroville is a magical place. He kept
yes,
saying that it's a magical place, and it's absolutely true. It's all magic here. It's all miracle. There,
yeah, and
there is
then
no a rationally Auroville does not a business plan. Auroville is completely out of the box. But people keep trying to jam it into some box, that, okay, to have a profitable, sustainable this or that. No, none of that ultimately applies. Of course, we got to be practical. Of course, we have to do certain things. Of course, we have to do crowd control. But we don't stay there. We don't limit ourselves to that. We go beyond to them. Well, that's just what is said in Savitri. The magic of our golden change. See, Sri Aurobindo is using the word magic.
delight is the key. So, in terms of, yeah, it was even in terms of what actually struck was what can be this architecture of a place which is open from all sides, which is
Hmm.
actually inviting. Our entire thing of building a house is how can we keep the dangers out, but to imagine an architecture which is constantly inviting newcomers and others into it was a quite a that 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 was about first couple of years were into in that revelation. Even when I was living in Pichandikulam, and every other day somebody would walk in, and to have a house which is open from all sides, uh, that kind of an architecture of a city which is constantly inviting. But then all of a sudden, around 2019 and 20, what happened was a strange kind of a seizure which everybody kind of locked in. It was like a snail which retracted. You don't know if the body is there inside. You don't know if it's empty. You know it's heavy. There is something inside.
Yeah.
But that kind of a scenario which we are almost being for the past 2 3 years, where almost everyone became a kind of a suspect, and
Yes.
uh, and
Yes.
we became unsure of whether we should
No,
we be
but
spying
you
each
don't
other.
you don't see the value in that. You don't
I don't
see
know.
the
I
gold
don't.
lining or the silver lining, I guess it is, of that. What about COVID? That was
I
even
don't. I don't.
worse.
I don't see the silver lining of that
Well,
because
what about COVID? COVID, everybody had to stay home. You couldn't even go out of your house, and everybody had to get injected with poison. You see, these are the experiences to push us to evolve, to learn. And so this stupidity that's happening in Auroville now, all this stuff, that's all grist for the mill to learn and to evolve. Because without that, we fall into the tamas. We don't move. We don't move. So the housing thing is great. When we came to Auroville, there were no houses. So then you had to start, scrambling it together. But you couldn't scramble it together by yourself. You had to work with other people, and you had to get the villagers to give you the key and do all that. And then we had to have a guy like Johnny, who knew the traditional, who was an architect, who could take the traditional stuff we had, the key, the bamboo, and all of that, and make it into a capsule that we could live in. So all of these things are working together. This is one huge movie that is all scripted, and it all works together. You can't pull out the parts, and if you do, then you destroy the rainforest.
Yeah, we are almost on the verge of doing that.
No, we're coming to the edge so that people can see the edge. If you don't see the edge, you don't know where the abyss is, and you don't want to step off into the abyss. But when you can see it, you can go the other way.
Yeah.
That's what we have to do, and that's what we're doing. We're doing it. We're doing it.
Yeah, thank you, B, for that assurance. And
No, it's
though I
not
do
my
not, I do
assurance.
not know,
The mother already told us the victory is certain.
yeah, victory is certain, but can we rest in that certainty and let things take its own
We
course?
can invest in it. That's the only thing we've got.
I,
we
I really,
invest in we invest in it. Totally, we invest in it. We give our lives for it. You know, I had to make that decision in the early years when guys threatened to kill me. I had to say, well, am I going to stay here? Is my life worth this Auroville? And I had to say, yes, it is. Yes, it is. And everybody has to come to that point, you know. Is Auroville worth my life? Absolutely. And then what happens? The blessing is so strong, and the living here is such a grace that you thank God that it happened like it's happened.
yes, for every breath of fresh air we take here, we are grateful
Yes.
for to the mother and to everyone who made this place worth that every fragrant breath that we take, every two
Right.
step, the smell and the scent of the air changes,
Yeah.
a
And
kind
you
of,
know, the world built Auroville. Thousands of people worked on Matrimandir, you know. 37 years of volunteers coming and going to get one building together. But think of the energy there, you see, because you bring in the sun, you bring in the light, you bring in the life, you amplify it with a crystal, you put all the symbolism in there, you build it on ley lines, you put 12 gardens around it with all those flowers giving their vibrations. You've got something, you've got a vortex, you've got a portal, you've got a cyclotron to make your cells uh, vibrate with the supermental. Okay, am I
yeah.
going too far? Am I off
No,
the
no,
wall?
you are keeping the mystery and the mysticism of the place alive. So we are not here to spell it out, as it is being looked at by those. The Auroville can only be felt by coming in contact with it.
Right,
It is that thing which cannot be spoken about. It is what that we realize it when we are in touch with it,
right.
and that is something which is very unique. Obviously, that such
Absolutely, yeah,
amount of accelerated learning, such
yeah,
amount of accelerated realizations,
yeah.
the longer the day gets stretched and like time kind of is elastic, and
Right,
the amount of work that you can actually do here
yes,
is fascinating. And we only pray that, or all of you who kind of make work worth fun, make it easy, and inspire us, uh, so that we
no,
can continue
there's no us and
next.
them. You're pulling it all together. See, you're doing the work. You're doing the work. Uh, it's not me or you. See, that's all gone. We're in the same boat here.
How I wish,
No,
uh,
no, you don't have to wish it's true. Because that's why the quantum thing is so important. See, the energy field, we're in that energy field together. And maybe you're a wave sometimes, maybe you're a particle, maybe I'm a wave, maybe I'm a particle. But the awareness of the awareness, you see, creates the bliss. Satchidananda, secret of the Veda, secret of living in Auroville, secret of life. We got it.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill.
Don't worry about AI. Brian is not really worried about AI because he's got a lot of spiritual connections, so he's going to be protected.
Yeah. Brian, would you like to say something with that? We would like to kind of close.
You can be aware of dangers without being afraid of them.
Ah, perfect. You see, that's what we needed. Perfect, perfect, perfect way. I'm so glad. Brian was here. What? Anybody else here? Who's Logus woman? or Logaswaran? Is he there? There's some guy? More guys? I don't know. I don't know. It just I hope this did not, there weren't some people listening thinking, what are these people talking about? Anyway, thank you for pulling it all together. I know you've been in done a huge thing here. You've got a whole, like a marathon of people that you're going to put all together in some kind of, you record some of this and then make a little, I don't know what,
We will
archive.
be using the AI to kind of read the archive and come up with
Oh,
the compilations for
oh,
sure.
okay.
We would
Okay.
try to do that. And I really don't know exactly. You know that I went and asked you that we should do something with shorter version, a 3-day conference, which became this. It was some kind of a spirit that possessed me to do this, and I myself have no answer why
Yeah.
I did it.
Well, it's the
It
grace. The grace is
happened.
always helping you.
Yeah. Thank you, B. Thank you, Brian, for being here. So with that, we call it a day for today, and tomorrow
Sure.
we will
Yeah.
have Min, we'll have Lalit, and after that Michelle Danino and Devdeep Ganguly, and also the Devashish Banerjee of East West Psychology. They are organizing a series of conversation with Aurovillians, which we will
Very good.
also kind of live it through the Auroville timelines, which really makes it. Actually, we have some like good 30-40 people who kind of expressed their reflections and thoughts this birthday week. um, thank you everyone.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.